Hey, what's up, everybody? Kicking off this Friday morning. What's going down? So yeah, here we are, Friday. About to hit that weekend again. Feels like it just flew by, right? It always does. I say that every Friday, don't I? Just zooming. Let's see. Today we're gonna do the weekly newsletter roundup. So we've got our newsletter that goes out every Friday. If you're not familiar, I'm K-Creative, Kevin Townsend here for Bamboo Solutions. If you don't know who we are a product and services company. We do all kinds of stuff on Microsoft, Office 365, Azure, that kind of stuff. But anyways, this is our stream, and figured we'd make use of doing something fun. So we present our newsletter every Friday, 8 a.m. It comes out into your mailbox. If you're not signed up for it already, you should get some. Let's see here. I'm gonna put that in. Actually, I don't know if I can. I've got a nice little macro here to get that registration link out to you guys. So I'm gonna copy that from Twitch, paste it into my universal chat so I can get that into YouTube and Facebook. Well, let's see here. So what's going on with you guys today? What's new? So there's the chat, or the registration for the newsletter if you're not already on it. Yeah. Every Friday, 8 a.m. rolls up the last 7 days worth of news across Microsoft, Office 365, SharePoint Online, SharePoint in general, Microsoft Azure, anything that could ever touch the SharePoint space, right? Which is usually in the Microsoft stack. That's what we kind of put in that newsletter. Just recent news, stuff you should be aware of. It's a pretty good, pretty solid newsletter. If you're trying to stay in touch with what's going on in the industry, this is a good way to do that. All right, let's just get to it. Got no time today. Freaking back to back to back to back to back. And then I'm just gonna fall down at the end of the day and prepare for the weekend. You know? All right, so let's do that. Let's, I've got it open here, right here. Let's get on over to a desktop share. And let's see what kind of news we got going on. Wrong screen? All right, let's pull this up. Here we go. All right, here's the newsletter. If you've never seen it before, it's a MailChimp newsletter. Got all that functionality that's already been tried, true, and tested out there in the industry for doing newsletter things. So you're probably already on a couple of these. You might be familiar with the format. There's a link up here in the top left corner for past issues. I don't know why my webcam's not coming on. Hold on. Let's see what's going on here. Gotta deactivate it, reactivate it. That didn't work either. Technical difficulties this morning. If it's not any luck there. All right, we don't really need a freaking webcam for this, but now I'm intrigued. Gonna do the Brio. That's gonna look like. Whoop, too big. Just not turning on, is it? Hold on, bear with me here. I'm gonna get this thing working. Let's see. Deactivate, reactivate. You can do it. All right, there we go. I don't know what was going on with that. It's actually not looking too solid there either. Like super choppy. Okay, let's try this. Let's move on. I think we're good now, right? You guys good? You can see me? I don't know what the hell happened to my camera there, but we're back in action here. So here's the campaign archive for our mail letter or newsletter. So if you haven't seen that before, there it is. Let's pick up where we left off here. Yeah, so here's the weekly newsletter roundup. So we've got a section up here at the top for top news stories. This is the stuff coming from the media outlets in the industry. Those media places coming from mainly like companies, right? Whereas around the blogosphere is more around content coming from people, evangelists, MVPs, etc. And then we have all the events that are currently ongoing. Look at the list of SharePoint Saturdays going on. There's a lot going on at the end of the year. Okay, so let's just jump in. Top news stories. Hold on, where's my... There it is. So top news stories, proven strategy to train SharePoint users. What's going on with that? What kind of strategy you got? This is from Asif over at CMS Wire. Increasing SharePoint usage remains a big challenge for most companies. One explanation for why adoption is so low is the lack of effective and sustainable training. That's kind of been the case for a long time. Limitations of traditional training approaches. Companies often settle for traditional approaches to SharePoint user training. They bring employees to a classroom, they go through a number of tutorials, and then they kind of just leave them, right? That's I think we read an article 2 or 3 weeks ago about this same concept, about how you've got to push the training out there and then keep something going, right? Just to keep that interest and whatnot. So after running these events 2 or 3 times, they're saying they expect employees to start and to continue to use the platform, but yeah, that's not necessarily the case. People forget most of what they learn within 24 hours. The pursuit of better learning results through repetition of training events tends to bring the cost to unaffordable proportions. And then given the limited number of classes, it's almost impossible to cover all the specific common tasks and workflows, right? So he's got a 3-pronged approach here to SharePoint training. Inspirational training program, continual training program, and contextual training program. So what's that? Using in-person classes or online webinars, run training sessions that do what they do best, showing employees how other people are using SharePoint. True. That's inspirational. Continual, having training content hosted on a site isn't enough. Employees seldom interrupt their daily work just to view a tutorial, so continual training gives companies enough agility to stay ahead. Running live classes continually is neither practical nor necessary. You need to automate the process. The most effective tool for the task remains email. So bring the training content to everyone's inbox, 1 tutorial at a time. That's pretty smart. Contextual training program is learning by doing. The best way of mastering a tool. So if broadcasting daily tips improves knowledge, delivering guidance exactly at the moment of need improves mastery. Take the training approach that works. Yeah, good post there. Been thinking about that kind of thing. How do we drive adoption? What's the best way to keep everybody kind of interested and plugged in using and adopting SharePoint? SharePoint migration tool now supports SharePoint Server 2010. Woo! That's awesome. So the SPMT v2, I think we're still on, right? Version 2 for the SharePoint migration tool. October 2019 marks the beginning of the 12-month countdown before SharePoint Server 2010 reaches an end of extended support. October 13th, 2020. That countdown is ticking. It's not too late to start planning an upgrade, they're saying. This is Mark Cashman over at Microsoft. Let's see here. You can start migrating your content from SharePoint Server 2010 to Office 365. Yes. You too can now select a subfolder destination or create a subfolder directory in the tool, allowing you to migrate your content directly into your preferred Teams channels. Boom. The SPMT is a simple and fast solution. Truth, truth, truth. Let's see here. Anything else high level here to call out? So there's the dates if you didn't know. Extended support end date for SharePoint Server 2010 is 10/13/2020. Better get on that. You better have a plan. One simple view to improve SharePoint page and site management. Let's see what we got. This is Susan Hanley. Whoop. Love her stuff. In the past 2 months, she says, I've had several people ask me a lot of questions about problems that they were having in SharePoint Online sites. Actually, I read this if you guys were attending the stream Wednesday. We found this on Twitter. So this is a good post about how to ensure that your content is reaching its target audience, right? And ways to do that. How-to steps for success. She calls out how to add promoted state. So add this column by selecting the plus sign next to the last column displayed in the header, and then select show hide columns. Scroll down to promoted state and check the box, click apply. Then be sure to use save as to save the column to all the page's views. How to add version. So add this column by doing that. How to group by promoted state. So let's define promoted state here. Promoted state tells you the type of page. Being able to distinguish news and regular site pages can help with content management. That's why I like to group by promoted state. Promoted state equals 0 is a site page. Promoted state equal 2 is a news page. So some tools and some tutorial there on how to ensure that for improving your SharePoint page and site management. All right, so Office 365 major new features. Here's what you get with new surfaces, says Microsoft. Did you guys watch the keynote or the event live stream for the Surface event? It was pretty interesting. Kind of find it interesting that like Marquez and others, those YouTube vloggers, right, were pretty impressed with the event overall, or at least with the hardware that was coming out of it. Pretty crazy stuff coming out of there, right? Did you see the new Surface phone, foldable phone? So let's see what they're saying here. So we've got talking about how they reveal how it fine-tuned its new Surface lineup to improve automation and productivity in Office 365. They revealed an AI-powered feature update to Office 365 apps that exploit Surface hardware for better productivity. So the Surface Duo is the Android foldable phone. Surface Neo is a tablet. And then you got the Surface Laptop 3, the Surface Pro X, and the Surface Pro 7 and the earbuds. Those are all the things that were announced. The devices are all integrated with Office 365, which is gaining new smart features to boost productivity for users. The first is audio transcription in Word. So after uploading an audio file, Word will be able to display a transcript of it in the side panel where elements of that conversation or the whole thing can be moved to the document. You can literally record your conversation, record your meeting, or just talk to your computer as if you wanted it to be typed, and then it can actually provide you with that interpretation that you can copy and paste into the document or move into the document. So in essence, just talking instead of typing. Text is automatically broken down by speaker, so it knows the difference between voices. There's also an audio player interface in the panel that shows users to select a piece of text and jump to the right spot in the recording to review the accuracy of the transcription. What else we got? Feature relies on OneDrive for storage and uses Azure Speech Services for transcription. Exact plans and pricings will be announced later, closer to general availability. Less exciting, but free for Office 365 subscribers is digital pen support for Excel. So now you can write text and numbers into cells. Excel then automatically formats the values into the selected font. And the feature is aimed at tablets and will be available in Excel for the web and desktop in spring 2020. Ink Editor in Word is also getting an update that allows users to create and reply to comments using pen or voice. Some of the updates are tied to Microsoft's new hardware. The mics in the $750 Surface Pro 7 convertible, for example, have been designed to enhance Office dictation. The new earbuds are a support player for PowerPoint and improve the accuracy of its live captions. I don't know if you guys have seen them yet, but the general consensus is that they're the most ugly earbuds you'll probably see out there in the market, but they've got good functionality. Let's see here. The wireless charging case with the earbuds is $250, which is, it's a little steep, but they feature touch and voice controls for music and calls, as well as screen-free integration. Gesture support in the earbud replaces a clicker for tasks in PowerPoint. That's pretty crazy. Surface earbud gesture support will arrive in November. Surface Pro X, Microsoft's iPad Pro rival. Let's see, it promises some benefits for Word and Excel users. 13-inch screen Surface Pro X costs $999 and will be available on November 5th. So it says when users pull out the pen, the Pro X automatically brings inking tools front and center, and each Office app will show what is possible with the Surface Pen, earbuds, and the dial. That's cool. There's a little screen animated screenshot there for that transcription service. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Nice recap there of Office 365 related announcements regarding Surface products. Windows Virtual Desktop land, should your business consider it? I'm anxious to see how this works out because Windows Virtual Desktop has the potential, I think, to be something huge. If you don't know what that is, actually that's a good quote right there. The cost of this, because that's usually what everyone's concerned with when standing up these virtual desktop infrastructures, is the cost. So the cost of this Azure infrastructure is largely the same if you were using RDS to deliver Windows desktops using Desktop Experience. Microsoft says WVD, the Windows Virtual Desktop Service, is now generally available in all regions. It lets IT run Windows 10 and 7 and their applications and services on Azure, setting up users' desktops on virtual machines and delivering them from the cloud rather than using on-prem desktop software. Demand will live or die by resilience. Yep. They got a pricing calculator there. Yeah, it's what is Windows Virtual Desktop? In case you didn't know, it's a set of Azure building blocks. So what does it cost? Microsoft Windows Virtual Desktop is available, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that did not answer my question. Let's see here. That's interesting. So what is virtual Windows Virtual Desktop? But they didn't actually define it. They just said it's not all inclusive. What's this list? Microsoft is WVD right for you checklist. So that's important. To help increase productivity, they did invest heavily in the Office experience in a virtualized environment with native improvements, as well as through the acquisition of FS Logics. In July, they made the FS Logic technology available to Microsoft 365, Windows 10 Enterprise, and RDS customers. Cool. Yeah, just a little information there on WVD. It is going to be interesting to see how that gets adopted and whether or not it's super. It's supposed to be the same price, they say, but I don't know. I'm interested. What is the Windows 10X? 10X. They're going to 10X everything? Everything you need to know about Microsoft's dual screen OS. How appropriate. All right, so Microsoft's long-rumored dual-screen Surface device will run an operating system variant called Windows 10X. So what is this thing? Here's everything you need to know, or at least I think I know, about Windows 10X as of today. So what is Windows 10X? Is it the same thing as the rumored Windows Lite Santorini that Microsoft watchers have covered for the past year? He says, for all intents and purposes, yes, it is. Windows 10X is the official name for Windows Lite Santorini. It is not a new operating system. It's Windows 10 in a more modular form, optimized for dual-screen foldable devices. Why is it called 10X? Hardware chief Panos Panay used the word expression on stage today describing 10X, as in it's a new expression of Windows 10. So I'm guessing that he says that's why the official explanation may be for the name. Where's this video playing at? What's the connection between Windows 10X and Windows Core OS? WCOS is one piece of the underpinnings of Windows 10X. So in the past, they've described WCOS as the successor to Windows 1 Core, Microsoft's attempt to standardize a set of core components in Windows so that they could work across different types of devices. Okay. Which Windows devices will ship with Windows 10X? Surface Neo, the dual-screen Surface device due around the holiday 2020. That'll run 10X. And then any third-party devices, it looks like Microsoft partners like Dell, Lenovo, HP, Asus, and others will likely ship it. Same stuff. Does it mean someone, Microsoft or another OEM, could technically make a foldable phone running Windows 10X? In theory, yes. What about HoloLens 2 and Surface Hub 2X? They've been rumored to be among the first WCOS devices. Will they also run Windows 10X? Yeah, they are using WCOS under the covers. Does this replace Windows 10S? Remember S shipped with the Surface laptop when it came out? No, Microsoft still seems intent on selling Windows 10 in S mode to customers who want their devices to run Windows Store apps only. Let's see here. When will the Windows 10X bits start showing up in the Windows 10 test builds? Testers could potentially see these bits once Microsoft starts testing Windows 10 20H2, possibly late spring, summer 2020. Interesting. Bunch of variants of Windows there, huh? Windows 10X. Gotta be 10 times better. Microsoft doesn't think Windows is important anymore. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's up with that? It's all about the apps and services, I see. So, the operating system is no longer the most important layer for us, was the message from Microsoft CEO, Satya. They had a big day for the Surface. Yep, we just kind of talked a bunch about that stuff that's been announced. What's he saying here? What is most important for us is the app model and the experience revealed in Nadella. Further cementing the Windows has slipped down the importance list at Microsoft. How people are going to write apps for Duo and Neo will have a lot more to do with each other than just writing a Windows app or an Android app. It's going to be about the Microsoft Graph. If you don't know what the Graph is, it's Microsoft's new API to sort of hit on and touch all of those things across your Microsoft account. And so it's going to be around, he's saying the focus is going to be around grabbing all that data and doing something meaningful with it. He's right, of course, and it's something that Microsoft has been signaling since Nadella took over as CEO 5 years ago. They reshuffled Microsoft's Windows division last year, leading to the departure of former Windows chief Terry Myerson and the core development of Windows being moved to a cloud and AI team. I wrote Microsoft is ready for a world beyond Windows last year, and many of the points are even more relevant today. There's a look at the products if you haven't seen them. That's the Surface Duo and the Neo. Foldable devices, huh? They are Android-based as far as I understand. They're vague in the details of its partnership with Google during its Surface event, but the company did announce a new Surface Duo phone running Android. It's a significant shift and a return to smartphones for Microsoft, just without the Windows this time. So Microsoft's now an Android phone maker, and the company's chief product officer, Panos Panay, was happy to reveal why during an episode of the Vergecast this week, because there are hundreds of thousands of apps and you want them. It's pretty simple, like literally, you need the apps. Truth. Here's the Duo in the hands. Windows is still important for people using it right now, but Nadella knows it won't be soon. Corporate customers will still rely on Windows for legacy desktop apps, Microsoft Office, and much more, but elsewhere, the majority of computing has shifted to mobile. So apps are increasingly becoming more cross-platform and relying on web technologies. Truth to that. So his not so subtle hints about the future of, talking about Satya Nadella, not so subtle hints about the future of Windows won't mean much right now, but it's clear Microsoft will increasingly partner and make sure its apps, services, and even hardware work best no matter what operating system runs underneath it. Windows is by no means dead, but it's gradually slipping down. All right, cool post by The Verge there on the future of Windows and where we're headed. Not even the Chromium Microsoft Edge can stop Google Chrome. What are we talking about here? So Microsoft's putting a lot of effort into getting its Chromium-based Edge browser right, but by the looks of it, nothing's going to really stop Chrome from becoming the king of the world. Yeah, look at that. Look at the numbers on that. 68%. What's next? Firefox at 8%? Yeah. Let's see here. Google Chrome pretty much is the king of the world, already given its market share, with statistics provided by Net Market Share showing that Google's browser is getting closer to setting a new record. Last month, Chrome reached a market share of 68.47%, up from 67.22% in August, setting a new personal record and moving one step closer to the 70% market share threshold. Firefox is the runner-up. They increased their market share as well in September from 8.43% in the previous month to 8.72%. There is no good news here for Microsoft's browsers. Yeah, I don't know. I'm using nothing but Microsoft's browsers now. I kind of do all of my interaction with work-related stuff. All right, so we're down to the around the blogosphere. We're already at half past the hour, so I'm going to make this quick. But again, these are the content that's been put out on the web over the last 7 days-ish, or that we haven't covered yet. From your MVPs and your evangelists and your enthusiasts, etc., etc. So the rise of SharePoint as a BI tool from AxioWorks. Let's see what they're saying. SharePoint started off as an enterprise content management system, but over the years, it's become an integral part of business decision-making in organizations. As the user base of SharePoint grew exponentially, so did the uses of it. And soon, SharePoint community started to realize that there's a lot more to it than content management. Truth. So what do organizations look for in BI? It's more than just a package of visual reports, they're saying. It really does condense the data. What else? BI is essentially a process for transforming huge data sets in a way that can be used into scorecards, dashboards, and reports. Okay. So collect data from various data sources. Following are the key capabilities of an efficient BI tool. So we can collect data from various sources. We can provide visualizations and analysis, interactive reports, customizable dashboards. So what does SharePoint have to offer in those feature sets? You got BDC, right, for enabling collection of data from different sources. What else we got? Excel Online for using those capabilities. Power Pivot, Performance Point, Business Intelligence Center, Power BI. So for the verdict, with all the SharePoint BI capabilities we highlighted in this article, we can conclude that SharePoint is a preferred BI tool for organizations to build and showcase. Yeah, maybe. I definitely see a big push to Power BI. I've also heard the opposite. I've heard customers say that no, they didn't like it as much as competitor A. Bamboo participates in the 2019 Mindshare program. It's a recent blog post on behalf of Bamboo from our president, Rob Manfredi. He's got, he's in the club, members only club, called Mindshare. So a good post here about that and what we aim to get out of that program. If you're interested, please do read it. I'd say, in a nutshell, it's an exclusive, invitation-only network of CEOs from the most promising, emerging, and high-growth technology companies. And so they come together and they share experiences, and they, do these things. So check that post out. Good one. Very interesting program. So the SharePoint Roadmap Pit Stop. Ooh, I love the roadmap. Do such a good job of putting this out. What do we got here? So here's the latest. Here are our latest updates. Button and call to action, world, clock, and weather. Divider, highlighted content, adds custom query. So a couple of things there. Page diagnostic tool they're talking about. What else? There's some screenshots of all the different functionality that's coming out, right? Preview of CAD files. File card, activity highlights. Just a whole bunch of stuff, right? That's an amazing... I think it's a podcast, right? Got good content in there. Dealing with undefined this in React event handlers in a performant way. Good old Andrew Connell post here. Getting deep in the weeds of some SPFX stuff, I'm assuming. No, it's React. So, yeah, not going to go through the details, but if you're a developer, there's a good post on how you can deal with that undefined this in React. Event handlers. Different NuGet packages of camlex.client library for different SharePoint versions. I'm not going to go into that, but another good developer-specific post there. What SharePoint framework version can I use? The latest seems an easy answer, but there's more to it. Over the last few years, we've seen a number of updates to the SharePoint framework, the latest development model for extending SharePoint. At the time of the writing of this article, he says SharePoint Framework 1.9 has been released and 1.10 should be available shortly. Between the different versions of SharePoint Framework, you can distinguish three main streams. Latest, which works with SharePoint Online, v1.41, which works with SP 2019, and v1.0, which works with 2016. And that's where things start to get confusing. So they do update the Yemen generator every time they make an update to the framework. On the other hand, if you took the generator version 1.1.0 and created a project with it, it would likely work just fine, which brings us to the question, should you use the latest version of the SharePoint framework Yemen generator? Good post there. I was thinking it had to do with NPM. So if you need to create projects for 2019 or 2016, I recommend two options to choose from. Either use NVM to install the LTS version of Node for SPFX 1.4.1 or 1.1.0. And install the original SharePoint framework Yemen generator, or use the Docker images that he's published. So a couple of solutions there if you're looking for resolution on that. SharePoint Dev Weekly. Again, I'm flying through this because it's time to get some work done. Video and podcast, where Visa and Waldeck will have a weekly discussion. Yep. So here's the recap of that. Was this yesterday's call? I was on that. Recorded September 30th, not yesterday's. A different call. But definitely check those out because they're so full of good information that's so current. Manage your Power Platform with the Power Platform for Admins connector. What is that? Have you come across the Power Platform for Admins connector yet? I have not. This connector can be used to manage your Power Platform. Be very careful when you try this connector as the delete actions options work very well. Through that, okay, the actions can be categorized in four areas. Sorry, environment management, CDS management, DLP, and user management. Pretty sweet. That is really cool. Okay. So the environment management options let you create, delete, and read environments, as environments may need details like location, currency, and language. Okay. List supported locations, actions, return to all the locations that are supported, and a few more. When I collected all my locations, I got slightly too many locations. All right. Create environment. Like, what kind of environment are we talking here? The list environments as admin action will give you a collection of environment available in your tenant. If you want to get a specific environment, you will need to use the get environment. Yeah, so stepping through all of those 4 categories of capabilities there. DLP, list DLP policies, create environment DLP policy. Neat stuff there. That's definitely new to me. I'm gonna have to go review some of that. How to check the SharePoint framework version. Here's how you check what version of the SharePoint framework you're using if you don't know. Do these steps. Quick and nitty gritty there. Create an Office UI Fabric button without Office UI Fabric in SharePoint Online. Thanks to SharePoint, it's possible to write an Office UI Fabric style button without using React.js or Office UI Fabric at all. The code is simple and easy to reproduce for any project. Copy the source this blog post contains, and you're ready to go. So what do we got? Okay. So whenever you want these theme slots on a button element, just define a style sheet class that references the theme slots. First, import is a reference. The compile CSS looks as not all the theme slot strings included. The primary button, whenever you see a button that has a background like the primary theme color, it is the so-called primary button. The style for this button will follow the same pattern as the default button, just use different theme slots. The rainbow test. Verdict, the theming engine. All right. Cool stuff there. How to use UI Fabric for button stuff without actually using UI Fabric. All right, SharePoint event. I can't talk today. SharePoint events that are coming up. Last part of the stream here. Thanks for hanging on. Kind of a long one today, going in 40 minutes past the hour here. So we got a bunch of SharePoint Saturdays coming up. If you've never been to one, gotta go. Keep saying that, but I mean it. You gotta go. October 5th, going to Boston, Ottawa, Cincinnati, Denver, Ensenada, Brussels, Kansas City, Sydney, Calgary, Ahmedabad, Leicester. Is that how you say that? Twin Cities, Bangalore, Munich. What else we got? And we got SharePoint Fest and SP TechCon coming up there in the next year. What else we got going on? Parent Child. We got our webinar going on October 10th for Parent Child. If you haven't seen that product from us, you got to come see it. It's a neat way to build more intuitive views around the related data you have in your SharePoint list. So it kind of turns your data into a relational database, if you will. At least the view part, right? You get to see that. It actually does some wiring up behind the scenes too. So we use some hidden fields to mark parent-child type relationships between data. It's really cool. A bunch of functionality. You got to see that if you haven't checked it out yet. It is on our website, so you can always hit our website up and go to the cloud parts, the Office 365 blue stuff, and check out that product page there. It'll tell you a little bit more about it. And then October 17th, we got list rollup. Combine your list data. Whoop, whoop. One of our flagship web parts there, being able to roll content up from across your site collections into a single view. So I could go out and find all the task lists across all the site collections that I specify, and bam, got all that data in one place to view and merge together and see. What else we got? Panda Talk going on October 24th. Paul Hill here from the company is going to be doing a nice Panda Talk on no downtime SharePoint patching. Pretty cool talk on how he's been doing that over one of our major customers, our government customers. So come check that out. What's this? M365 in Sydney. Oh, this is Microsoft 365 in Sydney. When's this? October 26th. Is that right? Yep. Check that out. So if you're in that area, maybe you want to register for that and get plugged in. What else? Got the European SharePoint Conference coming up in Prague. Got SharePoint Fest in Chicago. Got SP TechCon in San Francisco in February. And then next year in April, SharePoint Fest in August, which is in DC, and then we got SharePoint Fest in Seattle, August 24th. Man, it's like a year away. Already on the calendar. Might want to get registered for this SharePoint Fest DC. Yeah, that'd be fun. All right, everybody. That's all I got today. That's the newsletter. Appreciate y'all jumping on. Thanks for going through the news with me. Got any questions, hit me up. sales@bamboosolutions.com. Get some answers. Or if you just want to chat, you're just like, I wish I had somebody to talk some SharePoint with. Dude, email me. Do it. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got today. I got to get some work done. So thanks for joining me today again. We'll see y'all next week. Wednesday, we'll be doing our webinar prep. So we'll be back on here, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch live at noon Eastern. Setting up our webinar, kind of going through some stuff, just chatting and hanging. Thursday, we have our webinar, which is usually on the GoToWebinar platform, but still, again, trying to get that streamed and on the platform for webinars. And then Friday again for the weekly newsletter. So we'll see y'all then. Y'all have a great weekend.